think it's time to, it is noon, time to start our meeting. This is the meeting of April 26, 2021. I'm sitting in for Punkage today, who was recovering from his second vaccination shot. He had a little side effects going on there, so I was persuaded to sit here for a moment or two. Good to see everybody, quite frankly. It's been a while. Sorry about Kevin and Jim, who have to sit by themselves over there. They'll get by.
I've been vaccinated. You know.
Yeah. I want to thank the mayor of Holland for opening this up for us and encouraging us to meet here and allowing us to do so. It's a great venue and great view here as well. Thank you, Mayor. All right, we'll start by introductions. Why don't we start right over here with Mayor Box?
Nathan Box, Mayor of Holland. Sorry to the two of you having to sit over there. We're all sitting here because the view is so great. So.
Well, ours too. Nathan, were you referring to us?
Yes, exactly. That's what we had hoped for, Jim, definitely. And again, welcome to the Civic Center. This is one of the first times it's been used since it was pretty much shut down completely for COVID. And it's good to have this back. We're looking at this being a meeting space that lots of different groups could use, even putting in the technology to allow for hybrid meetings as well. So we've got an OWL system that allows people to be able to be here in person as well as be at home. So, and we'll talk more about what's going on in the great city of Holland a little bit later in the meeting. So welcome, everyone.
Terrific. I'm Skip Keeter, representing Park Township.
Russ Desai with the MACC Authority Board.
Tom Bird with the Ottawa Road Commission.
Ken DeWeert from Fillmore Township.
Joe Bauman, Ottawa County Board of Commissioners.
Kevin Kleister, City of Zealand.
Jim Story, Alvin County.
Tyler Kent with the MACC.
Terry Dean Heights with Holland Township.
And Tom Hunt with Zealand Township.
Judy Fisher at the MACC.
Anton Showers here at the MACC.
Dave Nitray with WC Network.
Elisa Hookwater with MACC Transit.
Travis Williams with ODC Network.
Kelly Goward with the MACC.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the minutes of our.
And then the folks on the phone or on the.
Oh yeah.
Kelly, how do we put them?
They're conducting a meeting, but
Sounds like Hannes.
Honest?
Welcome, Hannes.
So they can unmute themselves and introduce if you want. Or I can tell you who's on?
Yeah, let's just tell us.
Okay, so Linda Howell is on, Beth Higgs.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today.
Yeah. Mark Frederickson from MDOT and Tyler Frank from MDOT.
All right, well, welcome everyone. All right, we have our minutes of our last meeting of February 22nd that we're looking at for approval. Is there any correction or additions to those minutes? Don, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is that supported?
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Wait. Oh. Who made the first motion?
Tom Bird.
Tom, and then Nate?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. This is how Holland Township moved along here. I'll just slow things down, I guess. Anyway, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. All right, it's the opportunity for public comments. Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to comment on any particular item today? Hearing none, we'll move along here then with the agenda. Next, we're to enjoy and welcome Elisa Hookwater, Executive Director, and Beth Higgs, Deputy Director of MACC Transit, for a presentation on MACC. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Elisa and I are thrilled to be speaking to everyone today on MACC services and the upcoming millage, which is 1 week and 1 day away, but who's counting? I would like to start by providing a little background on MACC. Since 2000, the year 2000, MACC has provided roughly 6.7 million rides And in the past decade, MACC has provided, on average, around 419,000 rides annually. In a typical year, and not a COVID, going through COVID year, MACC has 11 fixed routes that run on an hourly schedule, weekdays from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have 2 twilight routes that run from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We also offer a demand response service that's curb to curb, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., and 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday. That demand response service is for ADA cardholders, seniors over 70 of age, and passengers who live a half mile from the closest bus stop. And we also offer night owl service from 7 p.m. to midnight. Almost half of our passengers use our service to get to and from work. What this tells us is that MACC is a vital resource for the economic health and well-being of Holland and Zeeland community. 35% of the annual ridership are ADA cardholders who have physical or mental challenges. 12% of area students use our services to get to and from school, and seniors account for about 6% of our riders. That offers them the mobility and independence to get around to different appointments and to around the community. Next slide, please. So this is a map of MACC service area. If you see the yellow area, as well as the green, which is Park Township. MACC has over 400 bus stops along our fixed routes throughout the city of Holland, Holland Township, and the city of Zeeland. Demand response serves these same areas as well as Park Township, and which had begun as a pilot project back in 2017, and we continue to serve that area today. And then Zeeland Township. Next slide, please. So the impacts of COVID-19 with MACC during the pandemic. When COVID was recognized across Michigan in mid-March of 2020, MACC made the tough decision to suspend routes and place staff on a 2-team rotation to ensure that service could continue throughout the pandemic in case of an outbreak at MACC. All passengers, even the ones that use the fixed routes, were able to schedule rides on our demand response service for essential purposes to medical appointments, grocery stores, and to and from work. Drivers and passengers have been required to wear masks, and due to social distancing efforts, limited seating is available. As an added safety measure, all rides on MACC service are free through the pandemic. Without public transportation system in Holland and Zeeland and this infrastructure in place, it's my opinion that this community would not have been as prepared to manage this crisis if it were not for our services. Safety efforts throughout the pandemic. April of last year, fogging equipment was purchased and each bus was fogged daily with an agent that kills COVID-19. Drivers disinfect touch points on their bus throughout their shift. In September and October, protective barriers were installed between the driver and the passengers on 9 of our Gilligs, which are the large buses, and then 20 of our smaller buses. As the number of COVID-19 cases decreased in our area, we were hopeful that routes could resume in early November. Unfortunately, due to decrease in bus operators, and as cases increased once again, then we were faced with the tough decision to continue running demand response service only. Next slide, please. So how does our service look today? Well, as of March 1st of this year, MACC resumed routes 1 through 8. Masks and social distancing are still required, and we ask that passengers use our service for essential purposes due to social distancing and limited seating. Through the pandemic, especially during the earlier months. Transits across the U.S. experienced a decrease in ridership of about 80 to 90%, and MACC wasn't any different. Before COVID-19, MACC recognized around 1,500 passengers a day. At the beginning of the pandemic, that dropped to around 200 per day, and now that fixed routes are back in place, well, most of them, and our community feels safer to travel, we're seeing roughly around 700 rides per day. Once the COVID-19 vaccine became available, we included those appointments in our essential trip purpose. We asked that passengers schedule medical appointments a week in advance to ensure that their seat is reserved. But a few weeks ago, MACC received a call from a local leader who mentioned that transportation is a barrier for those in the community who receive vaccine appointments within a 24-hour window. Our team was thrilled, to help out in any way we could, and we now offer same-day trips to those appointments. So, recruitment. As many businesses are experiencing, hiring efforts for driving positions have slowed. However, we have welcomed 8 new hires to replace some of those that we lost for various reasons throughout the year. Our drivers go through a rigorous training program, which includes CDL training, driver mentoring, and we assist them with obtaining their license. Currently, we're seeking 7 more new hires, so we are fully staffed when all of our service is up and running. Next slide, please. So, MACC's May 4th millage ballot proposal. So what's on it? Well, on May 4th, voters in the City of Holland and Holland Charter Township will be asked to approve a 0.4 mils renewal proposal to replace the existing millage, which is due to expire December 31st of this year. The renewal will be for a period of 5 years, which is 2022 to 2026, and it accounts for approximately 22% of our total annual funding. Funds through the tax levy help support expansion of services, as Elisa will discuss in the upcoming slides. It also allows to offer technology such as a Route Shout app we recently launched. We also receive funding through state and federal grants. Those pay for buses and other capital expenditures, and as well as operating expenses. Community support in 2016, I just want to touch on that briefly. The Holland community understands the importance of our service, which was clear in 2016 when almost 82% of those who voted were in favor of our millage. We hope to see that same strong support this May. So if you live in the City of Holland or Holland Township, I encourage you to go vote. We would also like to acknowledge the Lakeshore Friends of Transit Committee, who is advocating on behalf of MACC. This is a wonderful group of people who volunteer their time because they understand that so many in this community rely on our service. All their hard work is very much appreciated. Next slide, please. So I touched briefly on it, but I want to talk a little bit more about Route Shout. That's the application that passengers can access through Google Play or Apple Store. And what they do is locate their bus in real time on the fixed routes. On this app, they'll receive route alerts or changes in service or the changes in schedules, and they can plan their trip. This offers passengers a more convenient trip experience. I'm going to hand the floor over to Elisa, who's going to talk about our future service.
Hello, everybody. I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to be here today, for both Beth Higgs and I to present to you about MACC Transit's planning through the pandemic as well as our future plans. So first of all, I wanted to let you know that before COVID, we had planned to launch a new route, Route 12. So I'll be going into details in a few moments about that so that you can see where that route will be launched and located. But first of all, I just wanted to let you know as well that MACC has been very intentional about working with our neighbors. Harbor Transit to the north of us in Grand Haven area, as well as to the south, Saugatuck Douglas and Allegan County Transportation. We've been working closely with other providers to look at ways that we can coordinate our services and certainly talk to each other about some of the innovations and technology grants that we have available to us. So I did want to let you know as well that MACC Transit was awarded a grant this last year for 4 electric shuttle buses. So we're pretty excited about that. We worked closely with the Holland Board of Public Works before applying for this grant, and it is over $1 million. So that is quite a gift to the region. But what's exciting about that is that we are one of 5 other transit agencies across the state. We're coordinating closely and we're able to procure these vehicles together. So it's certainly something that's financially beneficial for our area as well as for other transits. So we'll be kind of the first pilot projects, if you will, in the state. And yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. We're also looking at emissions across our fleet and opportunities to be able to reduce emissions. So this grant that we received, the 4 shuttle buses, is noted there. It's a national low-no emissions grant, and we're continuing to keep our eyes open to look for other grant opportunities as well. So that's something pretty exciting. And then I mentioned Route 12. So for route planning, Route 12 is it's a major improvement as it will be connecting existing routes on the north side. And Route 12, as you can see from this map, is one that connects to existing routes, and it's going to provide circulation from just north of the shops at West Shore, east-west. So it will continue up north of the Mire to Beeline, to Donnelly Drive, and then you can see it continues on west. So this is a circular route that will continue, and what's especially beneficial about this is it's going to reduce the wait time for passengers, and being able to connect to existing routes will certainly improve efficiency as well as frequencies. So those are all positive for MACC. So we are very thankful for the millage renewal, May 4th. I want to encourage you all to vote. And another important thing I just have to acknowledge is our team and the commitment that the MACC team has made through the pandemic and moving forward. You know, there are drivers today that I can tell you are doing doubles to cover for others that are not able to be there, road supervisors, dispatchers that are willing to, you know, step in and really help out where needed. We have certainly seen that through the pandemic, MACC has continued to provide essential services, and the staff is committed to make sure that those passengers are served. So certainly want to acknowledge the team as well as the community support through the pandemic. You know, we've been talking with our partners in nonprofit and social service organizations and hearing from them about the needs, and certainly doing what we can to make sure that those needs are addressed. So thank you again for your time today, and I'm open to any questions, or Beth Higgs, if you have any about the presentation we gave today. So there's one other slide, I do believe. If you wouldn't mind, Anton, to forward it. Ah, okay, all right. Well, in the packet, perhaps, there's a final slide that shows Route 12 in connection with the rest of the network. So, all right. Are there any questions?
Maybe just one clarification, at least for the routing. All the other routes all have to go back to the depot. They all make loops. So a lot of you maybe haven't ridden on the MACC transit system, but so the Route 12 is the first route that we're gonna really have, other than, I think Zeeland's a little bit of a hybrid that we have going up to Zeeland City. But this one connects a few different routes just on the north side, so people that are shopping or staying on the north side don't have to come all the way downtown to the depot. It just saves a little bit of time on their routes.
Most certainly. So it's a departure from the hub and spoke that we've used traditionally. Yeah. Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, what are the plans for the electric shuttle buses, and do you know when those are gonna go online?
Yeah, so procurement is planned in June. And it'll depend greatly on how soon we can get the charging stations. We have put in a request for the level 3 so that we're able to charge those vehicles far faster. We're hoping within the year. And initially, we applied for the grant thinking that it would be something that could fit with the West Michigan Express. And due to the schedule of that project, we may end up using them perhaps on Route 12. We're looking at a number of different opportunities to use the bus shuttles, but having 4 of them it will be awesome. We'll be able to really compare them with the diesel and the other fuels.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, Alyssa and Beth, for your presentations. Very important millage that we're considering here coming up very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Go vote.
All right, then we'll move to the environmental program, and we're pleased again to have some guests with us to make presentations. Travis Williams, the CEO, David Nitre, President and COO of Outdoor Discovery Center Network, and for Tyler Kent from the MACC. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in front of you for the first time. I came here in March of last year, and now we're finally meeting in person. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for meeting with me the last couple of weeks, talking about this proposed project. It's taken over a year from the first time I think that we had the discussion back in March before everything closed down to really where we are today. I had to educate myself on the watershed, understand really where we were at as an organization, as well as to understand ODC Network's drive and how they really parallel one another in the projects that we work on many times together as a partnership, and applying for grants and actually doing work out on the streets or in the streams or wherever it may be, the fields. So a little bit of background. ODC and the MACC have a long-standing relationship. I mean, there are times where we meet or discuss via Zoom or in person projects on a weekly or at least monthly basis. Kelly is working with them in much more detail than I am, but we continue to have conversations as it relates to the projects that we are either partnering on together or applying for grants. We collaborate together to yield the best results for that watershed, using both public dollars, private dollars, federal grants to see these projects through. Staff leadership, both organizations. I mean, we work really well together, and that was part of my education, is trying to figure out, there are these two organizations that are really working towards the same goal of cleaning the watershed. Why is that? Why are we not one organization, or why aren't we partnering together to best yield those results? And again, we outline and work together to illustrate those benefits, applying for those grants and capturing those dollars. Currently, here's just a small list of projects that we're involved in, and you can see in many of them we're working together to get the best result. There are a few where it might be just one organization that's working on that, but in most cases, as you see here on the list, we're working together to yield the best results. Benefits of contracted service. So through these discussions over the last year, Travis, David, and I, and Kelly's been involved with these conversations since day one on taking a look at and seeing what, how best to possibly either contract or combine the two organizations together. And we feel as though at this point the best benefit is a contract of service, which would be for 3 years. And that, again, brings in both public dollars and local dollars and private dollars to get those results. There's that great relationship and that strength between the two organizations, promote and talent retention. We also, within those organizations, we have like 2 logos. I think it's important to have one logo or one brand for the watershed itself, so there's not so that the public knows exactly what that watershed is. I think in some cases they may feel as though it's Project Clarity and the MACC watershed, 2 different organizations that might be doing 2 different things, but in fact they're working together. So trying to put together one brand, one logo, I think would yield the best results. The proposed consolidation would include consolidating the operations of both the watershed and Project Clarity. Kelly would be hired by ODC to manage the day-to-day operations. TMDL would be the responsibility still of the MACC. MACC watershed dues would still come through the MACC organization, and we would pay ODC on a quarterly basis for the services rendered. Again, it'd be a 3-year contract between the 2 organizations. We would outline within an MOU what the terms of that contract would be, and then we would work on implementing that agreement over that 3-year term. Gentlemen, if you guys want to chat about your guys' responsibilities.
So this graphic really was just intended to share kind of how the ODC network is set up. And our organization actually has 10 different business divisions that operate underneath the ODC network umbrella. There's a conservation set, and then there's an education set. And so we have over 50 employees. We run multiple preschools now, nature-based preschools. We have a whole education arm that does all kinds of environmental ed work. But we also have a conservation services group that is focused on doing habitat restoration and native plantings, rain gardens, and all the stuff that lines directly with what the MACC is trying to do within the goals of the watershed. We also have our greenway work that we do, which does closely interrelate with Project Clarity and the watershed. And then this last year, we have Project Clarity as well. And then this last year, we actually started our sustainability business division, and we have a very strong partnership with the City of Holland on that, where we provide sustainability education for the city. We also have a contract with the city where we manage and run DeGraff Nature Center. We do have contracts with several of your entities, maybe all of you, I think, that are sitting in this room, to provide greenway or watershed services already. So it isn't out of the question, or this is not a new thing to have us function this way. And what we really think we can do is consolidate the MACC stuff in with our Project Clarity stuff. Maybe we rebrand it, put a new logo together. It's, Project Clarity, MACC Tower Watershed, kind of thing. Put the 2 names together and have something that's just strongly branded for our community. The last thing that we want to do too is, if you look at all those things that are up there, we are brainstorming and working on a plan to put all of our conservation divisions under one roof in one facility, where the public would be able to go for a one-stop shop for anything sustainability, conservation, water quality, making it a place where people know they can go to get those services and those resources. And so that's where we want to really consolidate this into one. So that's what that graphic is showing. And if you look at this, when we put our proposal together, as we worked on it as a team, we just really looked at what's currently being contributed in, How would this look long-term? And so we take everything that's going on within our organization right now, in that whole set of things I just talked about. There's probably a little over $1 million, almost $1.1 million worth of revenue that's coming in, both publicly and private, to support that effort. And so this really just shows you how this leverages the private sector investment with the public sector investment to make this work. So.
And then to the budget. So as everyone's aware, in 2020, there was an increase of from $110,000 to $150,000 for the watershed dues. We're proposing the dues to be at $113,500 for a savings of $36,500. Now that doesn't include my oversight of the watershed from the MACC perspective of it, so we've got to take a look at that number. I'm going to work with David and Kelly to see if there's, in fact, and Travis as well, to see if some of those hours that I work on it would oversee it would be covered in the grant. So that number may go up a little bit. I don't foresee it going up much, but we're really trying to push for a number roughly close to that $113,500. So from that, each local agency would see a reduction in their dues from that initial $150,000 that was increased 2 years ago. So what I'm asking for today is to see what support, make sure that we've got support to move forward with staff, with the ODC network and the MACC to go ahead and work on an MOU, hopefully be able to bring that back to you at the June 7th meeting. But also, more importantly, we've got working on the budget right now, so I'll be discussing that later today. So I need some guidance on whether or not that 113.5 or somewhere close within that range, you folks are supportive of that. So then we would need to amend the fiscal 2022 budget, excuse me, to reflect that 113.5 or that number close to that. So, take any questions?
Any questions? Tom?
I'd like to move the proposed motion that's been presented.
Did you make a motion?
I didn't make a motion.
Well, I'm making that motion.
All right, well, I think your intent was to do that at the next meeting, but you...
Right, I would like support. I'm asking for support for staff to move forward and bring that MOU hopefully back to the June 7th meeting.
Right.
As well as amend that budget to try to reflect that 113.5 for the dues. But I'd like to get, before we start making changes to the budget and working through that MOU, I wanted to make sure that the board was supportive of that proposal.
So what you're looking for is consent of some...
Consent, yes, please.
Consensus on this proposal?
I will amend my motion to that effect.
Well, you have a motion then? Is that supported?
Support.
I'm not sure what it is. What is the motion?
Just send Tyler to go to work. And
Yes.
To work.
Right.
Sound right, Tom?
That's correct.
And that was seconded by Ken? Oh, by
Joe.
Joel.
Before we vote, is there any questions or comments regarding this proposal?
Yeah, if I may, I'm kind of confused about what happens to townships. We contribute to this. Townships don't necessarily have grant approval or oversight on the Clean Water Act. We also have difficulty contributing money to NGOs. So my question is, this is all going to funnel through the MACC.
Through the MACC, yes.
It's a contracted service, so nothing really changes in terms of our relationship with the state and the Fed.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you.
Our goal in this was that it seemed simplest to keep the MACC as the authority that you were supporting and working through, and then we would have this 3-year written contract with deliverables in it that would then be what we're evaluated off of and working from.
Thank you. I'm just a little slow sometimes.
No, it's good.
Make sure I understood.
And Kelly or David or Travis would report back to us on, on the plans and that are outlined in that MOU.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
I think I know the answer to this already, but we were running a deficit with the watershed, but that will go away, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, so at next month's meeting, I want to bring back a couple of options to the board to take a look at that. I want to run that through the executive committee first. And one of them could be to keep it at the dues at $150,000 and try to pay some of that debt off. Or we could take some transportation dollars, not the federal dollars, the dues that the locals pay to the MACC to pay that off. Good question.
I would just like to add to when they first presented this a couple of years ago, I wasn't really in favor of it, but I think we got to thank Tyler for all the work he's done, and as well as Travis. They worked together and they got this ironed out, at least the questions I had. So I want to thank you, all three of you, for what you did and how the MACC still is involved with the watershed. It doesn't completely go away. Tyler will sit on the board, correct, Tyler? You will not?
No.
You will not sit on the
No.
board?
Not
Okay.
No. Well, it's just a contract of service like the other local agencies have with the organization.
Okay.
We had, through Project Clarity, we had this advisory board that we had put together, and by the choice of the people involved in it, it hasn't necessarily been meeting. They're kind of more there to help, and that was Dick DeVos and Jim Brooks and Scott Brooks and Mike Gorehouse at the Community Foundation. The time when it was set up, Bob Fenton, who was formerly the CHS director, he's no longer there. Steve Boltice was sitting on that at the time, and he was representing the MACC's interest and the governmental interest there. Tyler would take that role. So if that group continues to meet, or there's any reason to meet, we would ask Tyler to be that representative at that. So definitely would have a say in how we were spending dollars on the watershed project.
Just want to thank Tyler for his one-on-one meetings with our township and Allegheny County roads. Also, that explained it very well to us. I think it's presented well. I think the proposal fits what is really needed. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Motion's been made and supported. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll move right to the transportation program. Are you handling that, Tyler?
Yeah. Anton, I think. Anton, would you introduce yourself? I don't know if everyone knows who you are yet.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anton Showerty, and I'm the new transportation planner here at the MACC. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and it's good to meet all of you as well. And so today I was hoping to go over a couple agenda items, namely the fiscal year 2022 Unified Work Program and the fiscal year 2023 TIP amendments. So in terms of the Unified Work Program, or the UWP, this is something that we update every year, and we are currently drafting up the fiscal year 2022 document here. So today I just wanted to go over sort of what's changed from last year. and just mention how you can comment on it and how the public can comment on it. And then on the next policy meeting, I'll kind of go over like what comments were received and have that sent to you to approve it. So looking at, as kind of a reminder, the UWP really just documents what work tasks MACC staff will be working on in the upcoming fiscal year. And typically, this doesn't change a whole lot from year to year. You really add new projects that you expect to be working on, and you kind of take out the old things or the things that you've accomplished. But as I mentioned, this is updated every year, and we currently have the draft open for public comment until May 21st, so quite a long time for everybody to kind of take a look at it and send some comments our way. So looking at sort of the sections that are changed this year, we've made some very minor changes to the introduction, short-range planning section, the long-range section, as well as the financial documents in the appendices. So of course we've updated PACER ratings, MACC ridership numbers, all the data really to the new updated numbers, and sort of just restructured the document ever so slightly. We've added the fiscal year 23 to 26 tip, as we'll be kind of embarking on that come next year towards spring. And before that happens, the non-motorized plan is something we'd like to get started starting in fall of this year, so we're going to add that in there. Just kind of looking at the revenue budget, it's gone down slightly by about 5,000 due to COVID and a little bit less in terms of funding for that reason. However, the expected expenditures should be quite a bit lower than the current fiscal year. And just looking at the timeline of activities, here's our chart of all of our sort of major work tasks, and just looking at the West Train Collaborative. That's something we have currently on pause until further notice. And as you can see there, we've added in the non-motorized transportation plan there. So as I mentioned, the public comment period will run till the 21st, and began just late last week. So if you go to our website and go to the transportation tab, you can see it listed there. And at the top is just sort of the directions for commenting, and you can look at the document is actually listed towards the bottom. So I believe that's all I have for the UWP. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Moving on here. Next is the fiscal year 20 to 23 tip amendment, and I will, if MDOT Tyler Kent is on the line, I'll hand it off to him to explain. And this is something that we will take action on today just to approve those. So, Tyler, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Good. I apologize in advance that MDOT cannot be there today. Looks like it's a good time there. Missing out on a good lunch. But, we're here virtually, so appreciate the flexibility. What you have here today is one tip amendment for a project in I-196. Actually, the project, even though it says the limits are from about Byron Road to 48th, it actually extends into the Grand Valley Met Council, that MPO's region. The way the program works is it cuts it off right at your MPO boundary, but it's a multi-MPO project. This job number in particular is a maintenance of traffic job number. The cost has increased to account for unit price increases and other safety things and other safety aspects that we're trying to put in with this maintenance job number. This includes crossovers, widening shoulders, things of that nature. And it seems befitting that we're bringing this before you now on what you might see in my background is the National Work Zone Awareness Week. It's a safety measure. We try to, we want to look for ways to improve worker safety on the roadways as well as the commuting public. So that's specifically what this job number does. And we're here today to request this for approval. And following up on this next month, you'll see the actual job, the actual reconstruction job here, an amendment for a cost increase on that one as well, which I will talk more about at next month's meeting. But this is just the MOT component of that job. And I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding this, the work in particular for this job, number if there are any.
Any questions regarding this amendment for Tyler? Hearing none. Is there a motion then to approve the amendment as described?
So moved.
That's a place.
Support by Box.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thanks, Tyler.
And moving on to MDOT FHWA comments, I'll give the stage back to Tyler one more time to talk about it. Give any
Thank you. Appreciate it, Anton. So, yeah, it looks like you got the map already. Thank you. We wanted to take this opportunity, it was requested that we kind of just provide an overview about some of the big projects going on around the Holland, the greater Holland area, and within the MPO over the next couple of years. I'm sure as everybody's aware, about last year, in January of last year, our State Transportation Commission, through the request of the governor, adopted and approved the use of bonds. Program is specifically called Rebuilding Michigan Bonding Program. It's essentially just, as the name implies, it's a bonding program. We're targeted mostly on our urban freeways throughout the state. It's really looking at trying to do work that we couldn't have done with our normal program, or the bigger fixes we couldn't have done with our normal program. These funds are state only. It's not being pulled from anywhere else in Act 51. Eventually we pay ourselves back. Just wanted to make that clear up front. And also, you know, that's really focused again on the urban areas and just reconstruction. There isn't, you know, once it's kind of off of that, that's probably, you know, most of those projects are part of our normal program. I invited Mark Frederickson, our Muskegon TSC manager, just to kind of provide a brief overview of these projects. If you have any specific questions about it, we can answer it and, you know, address it from there at the end. But I just wanted to give an opportunity to talk about all the projects you'll see in this area. Mark, you want to give it a shot here today?
Oh, sure. Why not? See if
Thank you.
Technology will cooperate with us. So thank you, everybody. As Tyler said, apologize, we couldn't be there in person. And for those that don't know me, I'm the TSC manager at the Muskegon TSC. So the projects we've got coming here in the next few years, we got 2021, got lots of work down on the kind of the southern portion of 196. US 31 corridor there south of Holland. The red line is our road reconstruction work that has started and been going on. That currently is primarily the southern half of the job limits, with the exception of the rest area, which has been closed for that project as well. And then we'll have some road resurfacing work coming all the way up to the limits of M40 there. All this work is on just the westbound, southbound lanes of 196. And with it is a number of bridge rehabilitation projects between the Kalamazoo River and a couple of the ones further north there, the lighter green dots, one near the US 31 I-196 interchange, and then a railroad structure there closer to M40. We're also doing a major culvert replacement. That's what that bridge replacement darker green circle is there, just right there at the US 31 interchange as well. And like I said, the rest area work will be ongoing here as well, with the new rest area facility opening up in spring or summer of 2022. So that work is ongoing this year. You'll notice that I did not mention US 31 in that snippet. That is coming in 2022. The stretch from I-196 to the north, we know that stretch is in great need of repair as well. That is also a bonding program next year. That work will start up first thing in the beginning of the year, that orange line there, and then there is resurfacing work with that as well. It takes you up to the county line there, 32nd Avenue. That's all coming next year with some bridge rehabilitation intermixed with that at the Washington Ave structure there in that corridor. And at the same time, in 2022, we'll be doing some bridge rehab over on the M40 structure over 196, as well as the other bound of the Kalamazoo River bridge. We'll be doing the northbound portion of that bridge in 2022. To the north, we've got our stretch of 196 on the other side of Zeeland there. That'll be starting up in 22 as well, full reconstruction. As Tyler mentioned, the project that he was just talking about is our prep work for that. That'll be taking place this fall on those same limits to construct some wide shoulder and the crossovers that we'll need for maintaining traffic. That project will be going on throughout the year next year, and also has some bridge rehabilitation projects within the limits of that road work. The other thing going on in 22, as if we didn't have enough going on down here, is the ITS project coming in the US 31 corridor from James Street south through the Washington interchange. That will provide camera coverage through there for our West Michigan Traffic Operations Center in Grand Rapids, which is now staffed 24/7, recent change in that. And we'll provide camera coverage of that corridor for us for incident management, work zone management, and those type of things. So we're very excited to get some camera coverage down in this area. Currently, the only camera we have in this vicinity is on our DMS board there near the rest area there for Saugatuck. In 2023, got a few projects coming, a much lighter year for us in that year. A few bridge rehabilitations, similar corridor as the road reconstruction right now, Saugatuck, and that does stretch south quite a ways into Allegan County, a number of bridges. They're mostly the local overs and under type things, very minor work or impacts to the 196 traffic corridor itself, but will have impacts to the local intersections or interchanges there. We also have an operations job then over on the M40 corridor that's being overseen by our Grand Rapids TSC office. And then in 2024, we have our backfill job that's coming for the 196 BL corridor for that entire stretch there from Holland through Zeeland out to 196. So basically all the pavement that didn't get touched with the operational improvement job there in the Zeeland area for the 121 intersection improvements that were done a few years back. Everything else through there pavement wise will be touching with that 2024 project that's coming. So as you can see, there are lots and lots of lines on this map. We are going to be quite busy here the next 4 years, replacing lots of pavement out here. It's been a high priority for us to get onto these stretches of road here, and it's great that we're finally able to move forward with some of these. So if you got any specific questions, like Tyler said, more than happy to answer them for you.
Are there any questions for Tyler or Mark?
I do want to quickly add to that we will be coming back periodically to provide updates regarding the status of these projects, especially as we start the ones next year. So we're completing westbound I-196 on the south side of Holland here. This is the one time we'll talk about it. It will be brought up, as we progress.
All right, thank you, Tyler and Mark. We'll move on to our next item on the agenda then, which is the proposed fiscal year 2022 draft budget.
All righty. Before you today is a draft copy of the 2022 budget. I want to just go over this real brief with you. So in between 2021 and 2022, you'll see a couple of decreases. One of them is of $3,725 for transportation. That's specific to some of the COVID issues with COVID. From the watershed perspective, that fluctuates from year to year depending upon the progress of grants coming in and those being spent down. So we're going to see a decrease, or there is a decrease with Kelly's work within the watershed. Now, as we've discussed earlier, based on your support, I will adjust that number from the $150,000 to a number close to the $113,500. For expenses, Again, some of those pass through for the grants. You also see some decreases. Some of that is due to changes in staff. We haven't filled the assistant planner's position. I'm in no rush to do that until we figure out that watershed, figure out what the organization needs in general from a staffing perspective, as well as the MACC area, and then we'll hire that person specific to that need. And again, total revenues for 2022 is $893,988, and our expenses will be roughly an estimate of $739,061. So there's no need for an action today. I will request that the budget be adopted at the June 7th meeting, and I'm open to anyone if they have any questions. None? All righty.
We'll move to the executive committee report.
Sure. Yeah, a couple of important things I just wanted to discuss with you briefly. MDOT had let us know a couple months ago that we're going to receive some highway improvement funds as we do annually. That amount is $94,750. And we're also going to receive some HIP COVID relief funding dollars at a total of $677,377. And there's no required local match for those dollars. So we are currently working with the Technical Advisory Committee to see what projects possibly could need some additional funding. So we're working through that process now. So hopefully within the next couple of months, those recommendations from the TAC committee will be coming in front of you for your approval. And secondly, I've been trying to follow, and you know, the MACC is involved with the fireworks, the 4th of July fireworks. As of right now, the plan is to postpone the July 4th fireworks to hopefully a later date with the increase in COVID cases and the minimum requirement of people to be at a facility or location. We're going to postpone those. Hopefully later this fall or winter we can have some type of celebration, but at this point the call right now is to postpone those fireworks. And that's all I have from the executive committee report.
All right, any questions for Tyler regarding the executive committee report? Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.
Now it's time for our host to make some comments. Welcome, Mayor, and thank you for again hosting this meeting here.
Yeah, great, thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. There's so many great things going on. I could keep you guys here for the rest of the afternoon, but I know that you all have other places that you'd like to be, so I'm just going to hit on 3 quick topic areas. The first is big things happening at our Holland Board of Public Works. You may have seen in the paper we are going to be paying off our very highly efficient gas-fired power plant early, meaning we're going to be saving the taxpayers about $40 million in interest over the life of that loan. It's a wonderful thing for a mayor to be able to say to the people that he represents that, hey, I'm going to save you $40 million. I wish I could say it was me, but it was other really smart people in the BPW that figured that out. One of the things that's been partly an outcome of that is that starting on July 1, we're going to be lowering our electricity rates as well. And it's going to be an average savings about $60 per household in our service area. And not so coincidentally, we are also going to be lowering our renewable energy rate at the same time. So what we're offering to the people who are Board of Public Works customers is that you can switch over to 100% renewable energy purchased power on July 1 and keep your bill exactly the same place that it was when you had been buying the non-renewable rate, as an encouragement for people to be able to switch over to that renewable rate. We also have a new anaerobic digester that is currently under construction. It will be an approximately 100-foot tall ball just off to the side over there. Actually, you can see the crane that's working on it right now. They just poured the foundation on it last week. Over 150 cement trucks full of cement went into the foundation of that. That's going to be able to allow us to reduce the amount of what we refer to lovingly as sludge cakes. They're going to be coming out of that plant because right now we have to landfill all of those, which means we have to truck them. We have to pay for the landfill costs, incredibly expensive. That's going to be a big capital improvement cost for the city, but over time that's also going to save us millions of dollars in operational costs. Along that same line, City of Holland is kicking off a new curbside recycling program. We just, over the last couple of weeks, delivered approximately 9,000 new recycling carts throughout the city. Those carts are made with 10% post-consumer curbside recycled materials. So we actually made our carts from product that came from carts, and we're hoping to make new carts out of the stuff that we put in our carts. We had a former plastic bag system that had approximately a 75% failure rate. The bags were ripping open, the recycled materials were getting contaminated, and therefore couldn't be recycled. So we're hoping that with this new system, we're going to dramatically increase the rate at which we're able to recycle. We're also hoping to increase participation from consumers, because I don't know about you, but every Thursday morning when I was trying to put my recycling out, I would be muttering to myself words that I won't repeat here as I was trying to cram collapsed Amazon boxes into thin plastic bags. Simply did not work very well. As Travis mentioned earlier, we have partnered with the Outdoor Discovery Center on a lot of our sustainability issues. We also have those carts were paid for with grant money from Eagle and the Recycling Partnership. We got about $175,000 worth of grant money that paid for every single one of those carts, as well as an education program that's going along for all of the consumers. They received a magnet along with their cart that showed what it is that they're able to recycle. We also molded directly into the cover what you can recycle. We have the Recycle Holland website where you can go and look and see whether something can be recycled. And we're going with an ongoing educational program as well. Every single one of those bins has an RFID chip within it. Not so we can track what you put in your bin, but so we can track how much you're putting in your bin. And if we see that an individual customer isn't participating in the program, we can reach out to them and say, hey, how can we help you with this? Because apparently there's some issues that you're having there. And then last but not least, you may have heard we've got a festival that's going to be happening next week. It's been something that's been going on for about 90 years in this community. Tulip Time does start this weekend and runs through Mother's Day. It's going to be a smaller festival than it has been in the past. The same number of tulips that we've always had, but fewer activities. Tulip Time has been working very closely with the health department on programs and activities that people can do that do not draw large, uncontrolled crowds. So I'm sorry to say there will not be any parades this year. There will not be fireworks this year. There will not be the traditional Dutch dancers that you have seen in previous years. We may have some small groups of Dutch dancers here and there, but all of the events are ticketed and they have timed tickets. So folks have to show up at particular times on a particular day for that particular event. Ticket sales, from what I'm hearing from Tulip Time, have been going very, very well. We are expecting a lot of people in the community. Even though there were no Tulip Time activities last year, and even though we were under a travel ban last year and all of the restaurants were closed, we had no public restroom facilities for anybody last year, we still had throngs of people coming to see the tulips. It's an outdoor activity, can be done relatively safely. We had to work last year just to manage crowds. This year we're working, yes, on managing those crowds, providing opportunities for people, getting people into our stores, into our restaurants, into our bars to spend the money that we know that they want to spend. We'd love to have you all come this year and enjoy the beautiful tulips, and we're hoping for even bigger events next year when we're fully beyond this. So with that, those are the three things that I have to talk to you about today. So, and again, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Nate. The question here, Nate, is will the wagons be here?
Which wagons?
Food.
Oh, the food, yeah, yes, yes, they will. The incredibly healthy Dutch food that we provide you all throughout the streets will be here. Matter of fact, as you're driving home, you may notice some of them are already here. Tulip Time actually released this morning. I heard it on the radio, but I didn't memorize all of them. Tulip Time released a list today of every one of the ones that is going to be here, as well as what they're going to be serving. And it is all of the wonderfully healthy food that all of us have come to know and love during the Tulip Time Festival. We'll start seeing those come in more and more over the course of the week. We are also going to have the carnival this year, which, believe it or not, is something that the health department has said okay, and they're going to start setting up, I believe, on Wednesday. So we've got, yeah, there'll be all those great things for all of us locals as well.
Thanks again, Dave. Any other questions from members or comments at this time? And our next meeting is June 7th, 2021, and the site is to be determined, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is that supported?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you very much. It's great to see all of you again.